Hey guys, Franchise here with Franchise80s.com. Thanks again for joining me on another one of my videos. Today's video that I bring you is going to be about high-end toy collecting. I told you guys in some of my other videos about how some of these toys and collectibles could be worth more than or appreciate more than gold and other precious metals. Even can appreciate more than some stocks. Sometimes it's better than playing the stock market. So I wanted to bring you some examples today of some of the high-end toys I have found for sale on eBay. A lot of these toys you can see, I know some people might think, well, that's what they're asking for them. But no, I've done my research, and some of these toys have sold for this much, and people are asking this much, but they're also selling for this much. If you go to sold or completed listings under eBay, I have a video on how to properly search on eBay. You could see what things are actually really going for, not just what people are asking for them. So all of these that I'm about to show you, I've verified that they have sold for this or even more money in the past. So let's start off with the Greatest American Hero Mego 8-inch prototype. This is a very, very, very rare figure. It was never released, never hit a store shelf. It was just a prototype. To make a long story short, in one of my other videos, I talk about my 3.5-inch Mego Greatest American Hero action figure, which is very rare in itself. It's not a prototype, but it was a very, very limited release because back in the early 80s, Mego, who was a very well-established company by that point, and they specialized in their 8-inch figures, but they also had some release of smaller figures and play sets and other stuff like that. That's where my Greatest American Hero figure comes in. They were kind of having financial trouble and on their way out, and they got the Greatest American Hero contract, so they were planning to do a huge line of toys for them, and they were hit, or actually Greatest American Hero was hit with a lawsuit from DC. DC was stating that Greatest American Hero Ralph character specifically was infringing on the intellectual property of Superman. It was too much like Superman, so they sued them. And all that legal trouble, a lot of the toy companies didn't want to get involved. They had licenses from DC already making Superman figures. Mego was even making Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman figures, so they kind of didn't want the trouble. They had already released some of the Greatest American Hero small figures and play sets, just a few, not a lot went out, but they released some to KB Toys only, so it was only a KB you can get them, which that makes that figure very, very rare and expensive. I mean, that action figure goes from anywhere between $700 to $1,500, and then this figure they were going to release, but they never had a chance to because of the legal ramifications. They just didn't want to lose the licenses, especially since they were having financial trouble, and so they never released this figure. So the only way that this figure ever made it to the hands of a collector is because someone in the company had to have taken it, and then it ended up in the secondary market, years later. And today it fetches a hefty amount of money. $14,500 is what this person is asking for them. I've seen one that was graded sell for $17,000. There was actually one sold for, I think, almost $20,000 on the Toy Hunter TV show, and it was, I think, it was sold to the owner of Tap Out Clothing. So it is a lot of high-end collectors, people who have a lot of money. Obviously, people who own big companies like Tap Out, are going to have the money to buy a $20,000 action figure. So this is a very rare figure, and it's a great example of how a toy can be worth a lot of money. It could be a great investment. I mean, a lot of people, they don't know, they might pass this up in the yard sale and someone's asking $50 for it, and they would be like, wow, that's way too much for that, forget it. And little do they know that it could be worth, $17,000, $18,000. Now, more than likely, this is going to end up in a yard sale, but you never know. Someone collector could have had it, paid a lot of money for it, then they die. Their family does have no idea what they have, and boom, it's sold at an estate sale or a yard sale. You never know. There's people who've come up on some crazy stuff just like that. So the next example here I have is the actual figure that I have that I was talking about just a minute ago, and that is the smaller version, the action figure of Ralph Hinckley, which is the greatest American hero. It was released in this toy set along with this vehicle and the other action figure of Bill, his FBI sidekick from the show. And you can see they're asking $5,500 for this one because it's graded and it's complete in the box, making it very, very rare. Like I said, a loose figure of Ralph could fetch up as much as $1,500. I've seen it go for. And so this is a pretty rare figure. I also have another video on my greatest American hero action figure, this one right here, and I will put a link in the description below so you guys can check out that video. Okay, so the next item I have here is the G.I. Joe 1985 USS Flag ship. This toy is amazing. It's not a prototype or anything like that, and they released it, back in '85. But he was so huge. I think back in '85, I think it was like $249 or $199 to buy this thing. So it was pretty expensive even back then for a toy. But it's probably one of the largest toys that you can buy. I mean, it's the size of a huge table, like probably 2 card tables. The size, you put 2 card tables and you put this thing on there. It's probably around that size. It's pretty amazing toy. I never had one of these. I wish I did. They were amazing. And as you can see now, if you would have bought it back then and you would have kept it in the box, you can even get it graded. I believe this one's graded as this AFA 75 out of 100, and that it's going for $11,000 plus $800 shipping, because it's probably pretty heavy and pretty large box. But $800 shipping is nothing if you can pay $11,000 for this toy. And I've seen these go for more than that. There was one sold, I believe, on Comic Book Man for well over $10,000, and another one sold on the Toy Hunter show. A lot of these great shows, they have these higher end collectibles, so it's a great way to see the actual transactions between high end collectors and investors on these shows. Okay, so the next one here, we have the 1983 Cobra Missile Command Center. What people call it the Holy Grail piece. A lot of people think the other, this last toy was the Holy Grail piece, the USS Flag, but this is pretty hard to find toy as well. This one's going for $15,999. It comes with 3 figures. As you can see, this one's been opened and displayed here and graded AFA 85, and you can get it for the bargain price of $16,000, and that is it's crazy. Some people might think it's crazy to pay that much for a toy, and it kind of is. But if anything that has to do with buying and selling has to do with demand and supply, and when you have something like this where the supply is so low and the demand is so high, it's going to equal out a price tag similar to that. So, okay, next here we have He-Man and Battle Cat, the dual pack here. This came out back in the mid '80s, and it's part of the 12-back, which you call 12-back. Or in the back of the card, it shows you the 12 action figures that you can get. So it's a pretty early release of the He-Man action figure, and I've seen this go for quite a bit of money too. This one is going for $4,999, but I've seen some sell for as much as $6,500. And people there's a huge community for Masters of the Universe. They call it MOTU MOTU, which stands for Masters of the Universe, because it's such a long title. And there's just two huge high-end collectors who will pay a lot of money to get He-Man Master of the Universe toys. And they make newer toys now, or kind of pay homage to this toy line. And they're pretty expensive. They're brand new toys coming out, and they're pretty expensive. They cost you $50-$60 for one action figure, and they don't usually sell them in stores. You can buy them at specialty stores or online. Or collectible shows is pretty much where you'd find them as well. So He-Man is a very, very big business in the toy world. Another example of He-Man, popularity He-Man, is Castle Grayskull. I had Castle Grayskull. I remember opening it, remember playing with it. Wish I would have kept it in the box, because $13,000 is a lot of money. When this first came out, I mean, I don't even remember how much it cost, but it had to be probably close to $100, I'm assuming, right back around 1985. And to be able to take something that's $100 and keep as an investment, even for 20 years, and to be worth $13,000, it's just not a lot of stuff that you can do that with, and it's just almost guaranteed. So it's a pretty crazy to think that a toy like that could be worth so much money, but people pay a lot for them. So the next one we have here is the brown-haired He-Man from the Wonder Bread promotion. It is a pretty cool item. I mean, this was very limited. Wonder Bread had a promotion where you could mail away for a special He-Man toy, and it was this one here, He-Man with brown hair, and looking a little bit different. Doesn't have his regular outfit on. So this is pretty crazy. This is only one of only five, I believe, that are graded or graded that high, and $3,000. I've seen this figure sell for more than that on the Toy Hunter show and other online sites. Another picture of it right here. So comes with an axe and a sword, and I love how they grade these, and they encase them and protected very well, and it's just perfect for display, which is what most people who buy these type of fine collectibles want them for, obviously. And it's just a great way to display them. Next, we have a gaming holy grail. If you own a Nintendo and you collect NES games, this is the holy grail of Nintendo. It is called Stadium Events, and it was released in 1987 by a company called Bandai. And as you can see on the top of that of the cartridge, it says Bandai, and it was gaining some popularity when the advertisements and stuff came out for it, and so Nintendo wanted to rebrand it, re-release it under their moniker. They wanted to add it as part of their Nintendo. They didn't want Bandai having the rights to the game, so they had it repackaged and retitled, and they re-released it under the Nintendo moniker, and that one is mass produced, but this one was only out for a very limited amount of time. Didn't make a lot of copies of this, and weren't on the shelves for very long, so it makes it extremely hard to find, and extremely sought after. And I've seen this game sell graded for as much as $50,000-$60,000, and this person right here is asking $32,800 for a non-graded copy of the game. I mean, I've seen the cartridge alone, just the cartridge alone, sell for over $20,000. So this has the cartridge, the box, and the instructions. So it's a bargain for $32,800, right? Next, we have the Vinyl Cape Jawa. I have this figure. I did a video on this figure, so I'm going to, again, check the description, and you can, the description after this video, you'll see my video of my Vinyl Cape Jawa. Mine is not graded, but it's also not loose. It's in the package in mint condition. I plan to have it graded very soon. And this one is loose in the package, and they want $5,000 for it. And I've seen the Vinyl Cape Jawa sell from anywhere between $5,000 to $17,000 on Pawn Stars. I think there was one that was sold for $17,000. So, really great figure. The story behind this one is that when they first released the Jawa, they released it like this with the vinyl cape. This is one of the few ones that came out, but the Kenner company thought, well, people might feel like they're getting gypped because it's half the size of the other action figures, so we just got to give it a little oomph. And Darth Vader has a vinyl cape, Obi-Wan has a vinyl cape, and you know, people are paying the same amount of money for this Jawa. It's half the size, so they say, oh, we'll give them a cloth cape. Cloth cape. The other figures don't have a cloth cape. This one will. That kind of makes up for the size difference, and so people won't feel like they're getting ripped off. So they started making them with the cloth cape. So the ones with the vinyl cape had a really short run, and they barely released them. They hit store shelves, and then they said, okay, no, we're gonna make sure that we put the cloth cape in. So there was a very limited amount of these vinyl cape Jawas that were released, which makes it very, very rare. So anytime a company kind of goofs or second guesses themselves or decides, oh, let's not do it this way, let's do it that way, and they cut a run short, there's where the big time value is. Because 20 or 30 years later, that figure, if it's hard to find then, it's going to be hard to find, now. And so it makes it extremely valuable. So when you're out looking for collectibles, you need to keep that in mind. If you see that there's an action figure, you hear that they did it one way, they're gonna redo it another way, I'd buy as many of the original figures that I could, because you never know the value of what they're going to be worth in 10, 20, or even 30 years. Next, we have Action Comics #1, The Birth of Superman. Everybody probably knows about this this comic book. This one here is, they're asking for $615,000. Says restored. It's probably because it was had to be restored somehow. It was damaged or something like that. But if this thing was not restored, it was just a regular and untouched comic book, but not really untouched, but even in a semi good condition, it'd be worth a lot more than $615,000. So you look at $615,000, you know about this comic book, because this is the holy grail of all collectibles, in my opinion, because this book was pretty much the birth of pulp culture and superhero pulp culture with Superman. And back in 1938, this would have cost you 10 cents. And today, if you were to own an original, you'd get well over $1.5 million for it. In fact, the most expensive one that's ever sold for $3.4 million, and that was, I think it was graded a 9.5, and that was a very, very, very expensive example of this comic book. So this has to be the holy grail of all collectibles because of the high price that it demands. Next, we have Superman #1. The birth of Superman was in their Action Comics, but once he became more popular, they decided to give him his own comic book, because Action Comics wasn't just about Superman, it was about other superheroes or other heroes. And he was really the first superhero, and there was this other stories in that comic book. So they gave him his own comic book, which is Superman #1, and Superman #1 also goes for quite a bit of money. Look at $3,000 for an 8.5. and I've seen that go way higher for 9.0. It'd be, you know, $300,000-$400,000. So that's pretty crazy to think for a comic book that was only costing you 10 cents back in the 30s for Action Comics #1, and in the 40s for some of these other comic books. To go from 10 cents to $300,000 is incredible, and shows you that toy collecting is in child's play, right? So the next collectible we have here is the Star Wars Vintage Early Bird Mailer set with the telescoping Luke Skywalker figure. It's graded in 85, and they're asking $35,000 for this. So the story goes that Kenner was asked to do these action figures, didn't have a lot of time to release them, so what they did is Christmas of 1977, they released an early bird kit. So, you know, people ordered these figures, they bought these figures, and they didn't have enough figures to supply the demand, so they sent people an empty box with a cardboard in it that had the pictures of the figures, and saying that don't worry, you're going to get your figures, are going to be mailed to you within the next 6 to 8 months. So if you're a kid at Christmas time and you're waiting for these figures and you have to wait 8 months, that's like forever, you know. It is forever. So imagine the disappointment with all these kids. But eventually, you know, they got their figures. They got them just like this. They were mailed out just like this in a mailer set where you got Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Chewbacca, and R2-D2. And the Luke Skywalker that was in this set had a double telescoping lightsaber, and what that is that's a lightsaber that has two pieces to it. It has a regular little plastic piece and another little piece that comes out, and they made the first action figures with this double telescoping lens, and then realized they made a Luke, they made Darth Vader, and they made Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then they realized, you know, it's costing too much money in the manufacturing, because they have to make the figure and then they have to put the two lightsabers together and pay employees to put them together, and then also it was really easy to damage them, so a lot of them were getting just damaged during the production of these action figures. So they thought, well, it's more cost efficient to just make it one piece and just have the lightsaber be one piece and not extend out. So that's what they did. They made it one piece, and I mean, it could extend out from the arm down, but there wasn't another extra little piece that extended out of the lightsaber like the original ones, where it's double telescoping, because they're just regular telescoping, which the telescoping feature makes the lightsaber come out of the arm for Luke, Obi-Wan, and Darth, and the double telescoping makes the lightsaber come out of the arm, and then the little piece come out of the lightsaber. So the double telescoping lens got scrapped, and therefore a very limited amount of them were released, and so they're very, very expensive. A double telescoping action figure mint on card of Luke, Obi-Wan, or even Darth Vader, who's probably the most sought after, will cost you roughly around anywhere between $8,000 to $12,000. There's been some examples sold on Pawn Stars and Toy Hunter. And so I have a Darth Vader double telescoping action figure mint on card, and I'm going to be doing a video on that one here pretty soon. And so look out for that video. And okay, so the next example we have here is the Atari 2600. If you still had an Atari in the box from when you first got it, you can get about $3,000 for it now, or more if you get it graded. So that's pretty crazy with the explosion of retro gaming. All these people who are doing Raspberry Pis or Retro Pis are being able to emulate a lot of these games, like the Atari or the Nintendo and stuff. And so it's becoming very, very popular. And so that makes collectors, want to buy the original. Anytime that you put something back on the mainstream media that makes people want to buy the original again. It kind of reignites a fire. So the Atari is just going to go up and up and up in value. So the next item we have here is the Super Nintendo. Brand new Super Nintendo in the box. If you were to kept it in the box, could get you as much as $10,000. This one you can see is probably you put it probably for 99 cents, and it had 36 bids, and it sold for $10,300. The next thing is Pokemon cards. Pokemon First Edition Shadowless Base Charizard, graded a PSA 9 mint, sold for $5,399 just for a card, a Pokemon card. So not just trading cards can be worth a lot of money. I have my LeBron James trading card collection, which you guys, I'll put a link in the description below as well for that video, and you can see how much some of those cards are worth. But Pokemon cards are worth quite a bit of money as well. The Legend of Zelda Yellow Test Cart. This is really rare because it's a test cartridge, and this one sold for $2,469. Just to show you again how the world of gaming can be highly collectible as well. The next thing here is original Nintendo NES. This one is going for $24,999. I've seen some sell for anywhere between $20,000 and $30,000, brand new in the box like this, graded. This is graded at VGA 85, and it is highly sought after by retro gamers and high-end retro gaming collectors. The next thing is the very famous Black Lotus card from Magic the Gathering. This is the holy grail of Magic the Gathering. This one's graded only a 7.5, which is not that much of a great grade, and I think they still want $13,449 for this thing, and I've seen ones that were not in as good a shape as this one go for that much. So I've seen some examples of a 9.5 or a 10 sell for almost $80,000, which is just incredible to think about for a card like this from a game like Magic the Gathering. So so there you have it. These are just some examples of the value of some of the toys and what how they can be a great investment. That's just a very, very small example. There is so many different toys and action figures and collectibles that are worth tens of thousands of dollars, some that are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and a few that are worth millions of dollars. I mean, I've only taken you back to the 70s and 80s. You know, there's some toys from the 60s that are worth quite a bit of money too, but that's another video for a different day. So I really appreciate everybody staying with me and watching this video. Thank you very much. Please remember to hit like and subscribe, and I will see you next time with another one of my great videos. Thank you, guys.